Hi all, this is Kapil Sharma. Welcome to Upgrade Skills once again. In this video, we are going to see common issues which I have heard from lot many people that they are not getting the Wazuh screen, or they are able to log in but they are still not able to access the Wazuh services. And the common error message which comes is like server is not ready yet, or APIs are not getting connected, right? So this is the most common issues, right? And this happens various different stages, right? Whenever, let's say, you go and install it fresh, or maybe your server configurations are lesser, then it might be having a problem where servers are not getting properly uh, getting active, right? It also happens after an upgrade, when you simply go and upgrade the Wazuh manager or Wazuh packages, or maybe if you go and restart your Wazuh server, it also happens after that, right? So in this video, we will go and see some of the troubleshooting steps for that and how you can rectify that particular issues, right? So let us understand the problem, right? The first problem is Wazuh dashboard is not ready yet. So this is the most common problem. So this occurs whenever you do a fresh install, or maybe after an upgrade, or after a server reboot, right? So this is the common message which we generally get. This happens generally when one or more Wazuh components have lost communications, or the services are not active. So this can be fixed in a minutes with the right diagnostic approach, right? So in this video, we will see what are the different approaches which you can take to identify the issue and resolve the issue. So let us first understand the Wazuh architecture. So there are three different components of Wazuh. The first is Wazuh indexer, which is basically your open search engine, which stores the alerts and the event data. So that we can call it as a data layer. The next is Wazuh manager, which is the brain of Wazuh, which is basically SIEM processing engine, which collects the data and run the detection rules, right? So there are different rules which are there in the Wazuh, right? So it runs those rules and it gives you some kind of correlations or the events in your dashboard, right? The next is Wazuh dashboard. This is your main UI, where you get the web UI, which is an open source dashboard. You can visualize the alerts, you can do the configurations, and you can do the management of the entire Wazuh. So the common root causes are that can be, there are 6 reasons your dashboard says not ready, right? So which are those? The first is services are down, right? So there are 3 different services. One is indexer, second one is manager, and the third one is dashboard. It may be the service got crashed, or the service is failed to start, or it can be the service is not yet started, right? The other one is it can be a wrong configuration, right? So let's say, for example, you have configured the open source dashboard IP to something different, or maybe the IP is not getting communicated, right? So that can be one of the issue. The third one is certificate mismatch. So in the certificate, if you have not configured the names properly, or the path which is not configured correctly, or the permissions of the certificates are not configured properly, so that can be one of the reason. The fourth one is it stuck in the migration, right? So it creates .kibana_7 index, and it keeps on loading and loading and loading, and it gets broken at that particular stage, and you will not be able to see the Wazuh dashboard which is coming up. The fourth and the common issues are like your firewall ports are getting blocked, which is blocking the communication between your cluster and the internal services, or your machine to your Wazuh server, right? The fourth one is the authentication failure. The passwords which are not configured correctly. Because of that, your indexers cannot communicate to your Wazuh manager. That can be one of the common issue. So these are the 6 root causes which can be the reason for the server is not getting ready and the Wazuh dashboard is not getting loaded, right? So let us deep dive further and see the troubleshooting steps. The first one, we need to check all the services, right? So the first is we need to check the services status for Wazuh indexer. The command is systemctl status Wazuh indexer. So this will show you the status, whether it is active, or it is failed, or it is stopped. The second one is systemctl status Wazuh manager. Again the same thing. The third one is systemctl status Wazuh dashboard. So these are the 3 common services. So if any of the services are getting failed or stopped, your Wazuh dashboard will not come up. So make sure these services are always up and running. Let us go and check in our environment. Let me restart the server once so that we can get the exact error, because it is happening with me also. When I restart the machine, it actually does not come up. It says server is not ready, and when I log in, it takes around 5 to 10 minutes, and once I log into the server, it says API connection is not ready. All right. Okay, so my server has restarted. Let me just go and check whether it is running or not. So this is my IP address, which is 29.33. So currently it is not available. The server cannot reach this particular IP. It is refused to connect. Let us wait for some time and see once again. So here you can see I have got the similar error. Wazuh dashboard server is not ready yet, right? So that means the services are not yet running. Okay. So it might be possible in the back end the services take some time to get started and it gets loaded, right? So just wait for some time. If it is not getting started, then we have to follow these troubleshooting steps. Okay, so this is the error which is showing that Wazuh dashboard server is not running or not ready yet, right? So that means when you restart the server, it takes some time so that your actually all the services get started. So if it is still not getting started, if it is taking a longer time, let's say for example 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, then you have to go and check your backend server logs and identify the root cause of that, and then we have to act accordingly, right? So let us wait for some time and see whether it is getting loaded or not. Okay, so now it is getting loaded. So it has taken almost 2 to 3 minutes just to get Wazuh dashboard service up and running. Let me just log in and check. Okay, so now you can see there is one more error. The API connections are not ready, right? So that means your backend Wazuh is not communicating with your Wazuh manager. Okay, let us go to the settings and identify the problem. See the full error. So here you can see the errors. So here you can see the error. The request is getting failed with status code 500. So that means it is not able to communicate, right? So let us go and identify what can be the problem, right? So first of all, we need to check all the services. Okay, so let us go and verify. So I am here on the Wazuh server. The first command is service Wazuh indexer status. Okay, let me run sudo, or let me just elevate my privileges. Service Wazuh indexer status. So this service is running fine. Okay, let us go and check another service. Service Wazuh dashboard status. Okay, this is also active. This is also running fine, right? Let us go and identify the third service. Service Wazuh manager status. So here you can see the Wazuh manager is getting failed, right? So this is the service which is causing this particular issue, right? Your API connections are not getting active, right? So let us go and try to activate this service Wazuh manager start. Let us see if that gets started or not. Okay, let us go and check the status once again. So now you can see the service got started and it is active now. So that means the service is getting failed when you restart your server. That means it is not getting enough compute power, or maybe it is getting stuck at some stage, right? Because of that, the service is not getting active when you restart the server, right? So I have executed a command which is just for starting this particular service, and let us go back and see whether are we able to log into the server or not, right? Let us go and refresh this page. Okay, now it is status is showing online, right? So that means the connection is active. Let us go back and see. Okay, now my services are active. Right now there are no active agents. All my other virtual machines are in a stop condition. Because of that only all the agents are inactive, right? So that means now your dashboard is completely running fine, all the services are running fine. So this is one of the step. Let us go back and check the another method. Okay, so this is how we have to check all the services, and we have verified which of the services are not running, and we can make those services active once again if it is getting failed at some of the other stages, right? Okay, the next is read the dashboard logs. So let's say for example your services are not getting active, right? That means there must be some error because of which the services are not getting active, right? So these are the commands where you can go and identify the actual error logs. So let us go and execute this particular command and see what are the error logs which we have identified when there was an error of Wazuh manager which was not getting active, right? I mean Wazuh manager was getting failed, right? So there must be some error in the dashboard. So let us go and see. All right, so let's say for example you want to see and check the logs, right? I mean why these services are not running, right? So for this you can execute this particular commands and you can identify which are the error logs, right? So what you need to look is the first is like connection error. That means your dashboard can't reach to the indexer, right? Your IP address is not correct, or maybe it is not getting resolved, or it is not communicating with that particular IP. So that can be one of the issue. The another one is the address info, right, is not found for Wazuh indexer. This is very common when you go and when you deploy your solution on Docker, right? So if the DNS communication is not happening between your two different containers, right? So this can be one of the issue. Okay, the third one is waiting for migration. So what it means is the dashboard is trying to start, but it is logged in loop because it detects an interrupted or a corrupted configuration index, right? So the dashboard will not be able to load properly, or the dashboard will not be able to start, and the services keeps on getting failed, right, because of that. So there are fixes available for that. I will show you in the rest of the video. Then the third one is the fourth one is TLS ANSEC failure. So this happens because of the certificate failure or the certificate issue, right? We will also cover this in the step 6, right? So currently we are at step 2. So in the step 2 we have seen how you can identify the errors from the logs, right? Let us go and see the step 3, how we can verify indexer connectivity, right? We have to verify whether our dashboard can actually reach to your indexer, yes or no, right? So how we can do that? We need to check the active connections on indexer port, right? How we can do that? We can do it by this particular command, netstat-anp, netstat-anp. Then you can grab 9200 port and see the established connections, right? And if you see those established connections available, that means your 9200 port or the indexer ports is actually communicating with your services, right? You can check the TCP connectivity by doing telnet, right? curl-v telnet, then the indexer IP address and the port number. The fourth is we can verify the health of your cluster. The command is curl-xget-k-u, then the Kibana server IP address. If you are running on a virtual machine, then you can put it as localhost or 127.0.0.1, then the password of your Wazuh, then the URL with the port number _ cluster/health. That will show you whether your cluster is healthy or not. The fourth is you can check the IP address in the OpenSearch host config file, whether it is actually communicating with a proper indexer host or not, right? If the IP address is wrong, that can also be one of the reason where your manager is not able to communicate with your indexer, right? So follow these steps and verify. Let me show you some of the commands. So this is the command. So here you can see 9200 port is actually getting connections are getting established to this particular port, right? So this is how you can verify whether your 9200 port is actually communicating with other services or not, right? You can also check this and identify other ports like 9200, 443, 8444 and 55000, right? Okay, so all these are actually listening. So this is how you can identify different, you can verify the indexer connectivity. Let us go and okay, you can also verify the cluster, the open search host IP address. So if you go and check in this particular OpenSearch dashboard.yaml file, you will be able to identify the OpenSearch host address, right? So if this IP address is not correct or if it is not communicating in your network, then verify the connectivity and then try again, right? So right now I am running a local Ubuntu, right now I am running a VirtualBox, the OVA file which is provided by Wazuh itself, and all the services are in the same VirtualBox, right? So based on that only I have written localhost, which is 127.0.0.1, right? So if this IP address is not correct, then you can go and update this particular file. You can update the IP address, save the file, then restart the Wazuh dashboard services and wait for the services to get active, right? If the connection is established successfully, then you will see the services are up and running and active. All right. The step 4 is fix the configuration file issues, right? So let us do a full review of the dashboard configuration file. There is where the most issues happens, right? So we can open this particular file. In this file, we have to verify the first indexer IP address. So this is the OpenSearch host, whether this IP address is correct or not. So if it is not correct or if it is not communicating, then there can be an issue. Okay. The second is the certificate path. So these are the certificates which are mapped in this particular services. So if these certificate paths are not correct or the name is getting mismatched, then there can be an issue with the services getting started, right? The third one is the secure cookie setting, which is very important for HTTPS environment. If it is set to false, then you also might face an issue opening this particular service. Okay, once you verify, just update and close and restart Wazuh dashboard services. If everything is correct, then you might see the services getting active and you will be able to access all the services back. To verify the certificates, you can execute this particular command, which is ls-la. Then the certificates path is etc Wazuh dashboard, then certs, right? So here you can see the certificates. If the file names are not getting matched, you can verify the file names here, and you can verify this file, this particular certificate names in your configuration file, which is OpenSearch dashboard.yaml file, right? So if the certificate file or the names are not matching, then there can be an issue, right? As I said. Let us move to step 5, fix the certificate issues, which is a very common after upgrades. Configuration file expects a new certificate names, but the old names still exist on the disk, right? In the configuration file, we still have the old certificate names, right? So how we can go and verify that? We can go and check the certificate, which are existing certificate or the new certificates. The path of that certificate is Wazuh/etc-Wazuh-dashboard/certs. So here you can see there are 3 certificates: Wazuh dashboard.pam, Wazuh dashboard-key, which is a key file, and the root CA. So these are the 3 certificates which are there. Just verify this file name, the certificate file names. If these file names are correct in your configuration file, which is this OpenSearch dashboard.yaml, then you will be able to see the services getting started. If there is any mismatch in the certificate name or the path, then the Wazuh dashboard service will not get started. It will still get stuck or it will still get failed. Then if there is any permission issue or ownership issues, so let's say if after an upgrade the permission of those files are getting changed, right? If you have executed some commands and the permissions of those files are getting changed, right? Then you can also face the similar issues because the Wazuh service is not be able to access those particular certificate files. So how we can verify? Just the same command, just verify the permissions. So here you can see the permissions are like Wazuh dashboard and Wazuh dashboard. User is also Wazuh dashboard and the group is also Wazuh dashboard, right? You can execute this particular commands if you have to fix the permission issues, right? So chown -r Wazuh dashboard user, Wazuh dashboard is a group, then the certificate path, right? You can also fix the permission which is chmod 500, the cert folder and the files, and chmod 400 to the files. Once this is done, you can restart the dashboard services and you can verify whether it is running or not. Alright, let us move to step 6, which is index migration issue. This is a very common issue, and this is also difficult to diagnose without, if you don't have the proper logs, you will not be able to identify this particular error. So if you want to see, you have to go and verify all the logs, check all the logs, and then you will be able to identify this particular issue, right? So this happens when the dashboard tried to migrate OpenSearch indices on the startup. If it was interrupted, it just sits there waiting forever. It does not get loaded, right? So this is a very common issue. I have also faced multiple times. So what you have to go and check, first you have to go and check the problematic Kibana file or the Kibana index, whether it exists or not, right? So what is the command for that? You can go and go to the CLI of this server, execute this particular command, right? So if you see .kibana_7 index, that is likely your culprit. Delete it so that the dashboard can recreate it properly. Okay, if you file any such file, if you find any such file which is .kibana_7, you can delete that particular file and you can restart the Wazuh dashboard service. So what it will do is it will again go and try to re-index or rebuild that particular index file. To delete that, the command is this one, curl -k-u, username and password of your Wazuh, -x delete, then your path. After that, you have to restart Wazuh dashboard service and you can verify the logs by journalctl -u Wazuh dashboard -f. Alright, let us go to step 7. Check firewall and ports. So the most common ports are 9200, which is a Wazuh indexer port, 443, which is a Wazuh dashboard port where your UI gets loaded, 55000, which is a Wazuh manager API port, right? So if you are using firewall in your, if you have activated firewall in your Linux machine, then you have to basically allow that particular ports, right? So all these ports needs to be allowed. So these are the commands I have given for Ubuntu and CentOS. You can verify these commands and you can execute these commands to allow that particular ports, right? You can also check SE Linux if you are on Red Hat systems. If it can silently block internal communications even if the firewall rules are properly configured, right? So just check SE Linux as well, and if it is active, you can disable that or you can keep it in a permission mode, right? All right, let us recap what we have gone through this particular video and all the troubleshooting steps. The first is check all the 3 services, which is Wazuh Indexer, Wazuh Dashboard, Wazuh Manager. All these 3 services should be up and running. Second is read dashboard logs for the exact error. You have to go and check the logs and identify the exact error for further troubleshooting. The third is verify indexer connectivity with the curl command. Fourth is fix configuration file, which is open search-dashboard.yaml file, which we have seen. So what we have to see in that, we have to verify the IP address of the OpenSearch dashboard, the certificate, the path and the cookie. The fifth is fix certificate ownership and file mismatch. So in the same OpenSearch.dashboard.yaml file, we have to also verify whether the certificate file names are matching in the file or not, right, with the same name of the certificates. And we also have to verify the ownership and the permissions of the certificate which are generated in the Wazuh. Then sixth is we have seen the migration issue where the Kibana indexes file is getting created and it is getting stuck at that particular stage, right? So we have seen that we have to delete that particular index file, which is .kibana_7. Once we delete that file and once we restart the Wazuh dashboard service, it will again go and rebuild that particular file, and it will try to start your services back again. And the last but not the least, which is open firewall ports, which is 9200, which is your open search port. 443 is your Wazuh dashboard port. 55,000 is your Wazuh manager port, right? So make sure all these ports are up and running, right? When you restart any services, make sure you do it in a order. The first services which we need to start is Wazuh indexer. The second service is Wazuh manager, and the third service will be Wazuh dashboard, right? After all the upgrades, you have to verify your old configuration file versus your new configuration file, so that there are no changes which can impact your services getting started. Log first, always read your log file, right? So everything is getting logged. So verify the log files to identify the exact error and the root cause of the failure, and then based on that you can troubleshoot it further. Cluster health, yellow is okay, red is equal to problem, and green is perfect, right? So you can verify the health of the cluster. All right, thank you everyone for your time, and if you are building the Wazuh skills, you are on the right channel. Follow Bright Skills. I have created multiple videos on Wazuhs, and I will be creating more videos on Wazuhs. So if you want any specific videos to be created on a specific topic, then just drop me on a comment section. I will try to create a video on that particular topic. And do follow Upright Skills, subscribe, press the bell icon so that you get the notifications when the new videos get uploaded, and do comment if you have any specific questions. I will try to respond on that particular as well. Thank you everyone. Have a great day.